Hi weaving friends, this month the online weaving school turns 5 years old and I've got some fun and exciting things to share with you about that today. I can't believe it's already been 5 years. I know that people say time flies, but this has just been like, I really cannot believe that the school is 5 years old. So I thought in today's video I could talk a little bit about how the school started and how it's progressed in that time. I'm also going to announce some really exciting giveaways so that we can all celebrate this month together. And then I'm going to finish off by sharing some of my future hopes and plans for the weaving school. How the weaving school started is a pretty interesting story because a lot of the time when people start a business, it's very planned out and very specific. They have their business plan, they have their goals, everything's kind of mapped out beforehand. But for me, it was quite a different experience because I never actually intended for this business to happen, at least not in the way that it did. So in previous years, ever since my kids were really little, and my oldest child is just about to turn 22, so for a long time I had been making things, crafting, doing all kinds of creative things, and often I would sell things in my Etsy shop. So sometimes I would sell handmade dolls that I'd made, I'd sell hand-dyed yarn, all kinds of things over the years, embroidery patterns, embroidered pieces, and that way I would make a little bit of extra income. So my dream was always to be able to make enough income from something creative that I was doing in order to support my family and to really build something that could be a family business rather than us being so separated with my husband going off to a stressful job every day and then getting home and there just being so much going on all the time, homeschooling the kids. I really wanted us always to be more of a united team and to be able to live that lifestyle. So anyway, wind back quite a number of years and I was weaving and really enjoying weaving. And prior to actually getting my first loom, I was pretty heavily into knitting. But I found that knitting didn't agree with my body in several ways, particularly this shoulder, my wrists, the sort of aching and the pain in my hands that I would get when I'd been knitting a lot because I was really enjoying it. I wanted to do it a lot and I wanted to make a lot of things for my family. So I was looking for an extra creative outlet where I could still use the beautiful yarns that I had, but to make it a little bit easier on my body. And that's how I came to weaving. So I'd been weaving for a little while and then I thought to myself, wouldn't it be nice if I could upload a video or two sharing the things that I had learned so far that I thought would be really helpful to beginners. Because as you know, the beginning of anything is the hardest part. And if you just have ways that you can shortcut the difficult parts, then it can be a much more positive experience. So because I had learned so much about knitting and other crafts on YouTube, I thought YouTube would be the perfect place for me to share a couple of videos and just to kind of give back to the creative community. And so I uploaded a video that I had recorded on my son's little handy cam. He had this little handheld camera and I didn't have any special sound equipment, any lighting or anything like that. But I filmed two videos, and the first video was how to weave neat edges on the rigid heddle loom. And it's really interesting because I didn't expect anything from the video. It was really more about me just sharing. I didn't actually know anyone in real life who was weaving. It was a bit rarer to find people who were weaving back then. And so I didn't expect anything, and I didn't think there'd be much of an audience for it either, but I thought it might help a few people, let's see. And the video started to get quite a lot of views, and this is when I entered the world of YouTube views and analytics and all of that stuff, and started to actually learn what it was all about and what I was doing. So anyway, I got a lot of feedback from that video and the next one that I uploaded, and so many people were asking me to make more videos. So that was really encouraging, and so I started making some more videos. All different things, just usually fairly simple and not too long videos on particular techniques that I thought, once again, that the more beginner level people would like to try. And from there, the channel started really growing. Now, after a little while, I still had people asking me more and more all the time, can you please make more videos? And I was just really surprised that there was such a demand. But I also realized that there were a heap of people out there who, just like me, when I first started with my loom, were feeling quite bewildered and couldn't find very much information at all on the internet about how to really get going with this loom. And so all these people asking me for more and more videos just really confirmed that for me, that there were a lot of people out there all over the world who really needed help. And I, by then, was at a level in my weaving where I was comfortable enough with it that I could help other people just by showing them things. And I felt that the best way to show people things was just to act as though I had a friend in the same room with me. Maybe we were having tea or coffee together and we were sitting at our looms, and I was just showing my friend something that I thought was cool or something that they wanted to learn. And just to have that kind of conversational, friendly, relaxed atmosphere, rather than trying to do like a stuffy presentation, which really isn't me anyway. So after a little while of making videos on YouTube, they started offering what they called paid channels, where I guess the idea, and I think they've reintroduced something similar now, but I'm not looking into any of that. It's kind of similar to Patreon in a way, in that you could have a separate YouTube channel, so separate to your free channel, and you could actually charge people for the content there, and you could decide on the price. So what I decided to do, because I was making all of these videos, I was spending a lot of time doing it, and I was paying, of course, for all of the materials in order to do it, and I was trying to make it interesting for people, trying to do new things all the time to keep it interesting. It started to cost me time and money to make the videos, and so I thought, okay, well, if I could just make one of these paid channels and charge people enough that I could just cover the costs of my yarn. That was all I was really wanting to do at that point. Because of course, making all of these videos had a direct benefit for me as well, in that I was pushing myself to try further things and to learn my yarns more and all of that. So it was benefiting me a lot in that way. So I decided all I wanted to do was cover my yarn costs. So on the paid channel, I think initially I asked each person who subscribed to the paid channel maybe for $2 a month. I think I started it at about $2 a month, and maybe after a little while it went up to $4 a month. But I was kind of thinking that that would be about a cup of coffee for people, remembering that this is some time ago and prices of everything have gone right through the roof since then. But yeah, $2 to $4 was about the price that I was asking, and that went really well. I had several hundred people join up that extra channel to access content that they could only get on that channel and not on my free channel. And in the meantime, I kept my free channel going as well. Now, after, it's hard to remember, maybe 18 months to 2 years of doing that paid channel on YouTube, they suddenly announced out of the blue that they were doing away with all paid channels. It just was not going to be a feature that was going to be available anymore. I guess they weren't making money out of it and decided that they didn't want to do that. So that was a little bit crushing for me, because I had built up this community. Things were going well, people were still joining, and I really liked the aspect of still having my free channel here and my paid channel over there for those who were more dedicated and really wanted the extra content. So I didn't know what to do. I thought maybe, you know, this is kind of the end of it for me, and this is not an avenue that is going to work for me as a business. And so, as I so often have over these past 5 years especially, when I don't know what to do, I often ask my audience. These days, that's my membership group. So when you sign up to the online weaving school and you purchase a membership, you get a link to join the members group. So at the moment there's over 1,000 people in that group, and it's a very active and supportive and enthusiastic group. I absolutely love that group. So often I ask them, what should I do next, or what do you think of this idea? Because if there's one thing that I've learned in business over the past 5 years is that if the audience doesn't want it, there's no point in doing it. So I asked my audience that I had at the time, which was mostly my paid memberships and also all the subscribers that I had on YouTube by then, what should I do? This is the situation, they're closing down the paid memberships. What do you want me to do? What would be the best solution for you and for me? For both of us, mutually beneficial. And some people mentioned that you could do online classes on a hosting platform. Now, me, in my not very techie reality, I was like, what? People make classes and host them somewhere other than YouTube? I just had no idea of this at this stage. And so I started Googling. Once I started Googling, I found out how many platforms there are out there for hosting. And I started looking at a lot of different creators and the ways that they were doing it. And it was really interesting looking into all of the different aspects of different ones. So I looked at places like Thinkific and Udemy, and there was another one, was it Kajabi? And then I saw Teachable. And Teachable appealed to me the most because I think the main reason was because it gave me the most amount of freedom as the school owner. So it was important to me to be able to have my own place, my own little school that looked professional enough, that worked really well, and where I could set my own prices. And there were a heap of other things that I looked at as well, of course, even not knowing very much about online courses at that time, but I'm quite sure 5 years later that I made a really good decision. So I joined up with Teachable, and I went on to, I think I started on their free plan, because they do actually have a free plan, but it's quite limited in what you can do on it. I may have started on the free plan, and then after a very short amount of time, I leveled up, and I've leveled up again in my plan since then. My initial goal with Teachable, and by the way, I was absolutely terrified of doing this because it was the first thing that I had done that was risky. Putting videos on YouTube is only risky in that, you know, people might not like your videos and people might leave you nasty comments. That's basically the biggest risk, is just kind of putting yourself out there and getting over doing that. The risk now for signing up to Teachable was that there were going to be fees associated with it. Now, I had been on Etsy for a long time, so I wasn't unfamiliar with being charged fees, but the fee structure with Etsy is that the fees come out of your earnings, and it's all kind of there on Etsy. They just automatically take the fees out of your payment account. So with Teachable, it was going to be, especially once I signed up to the plan, it was going to be a lot of money all in one hit, because like with most subscription services, you save a little bit by paying a yearly amount in a lump sum instead of a monthly amount. That was what I opted to do. So I was pretty scared. I think my first year was going to cost something like $400 US. Now at that stage, I still just had my little paid YouTube channel that was closing. I was still only charging a few dollars a month for access to that. So I really was very much hobby level still. And I knew that starting on Teachable, I was going to have to take it more seriously because I needed to make that money to cover my fees. That was my number one aim for my first year on Teachable. I said to my husband, if I can cover my fees of around $400 US, then everything's fine. It's okay if it doesn't go really, really well, just as long as I cover those fees, and then I haven't lost anything. And I wasn't dipping into our family money or anything like that. And I was really unsure at that stage how the people who had followed me on the paid channel on YouTube were going to take it, the idea of moving over to another platform that was away from YouTube, because a lot of people really like YouTube. And also I was asking them to pay a little more money, and I was offering different fee structures to what I had had on YouTube. And so I was quite apprehensive, and you know, of course that voice in the back of my head said, no one's going to come over and join this. You're wasting your time, you're going to waste money, blah, blah, blah. All those voices that go on. Anyway, I did it, and I opened the school in May of 2017. I think initially I opened with around 100 students, so quite a few of the people who had been following me on YouTube did come over and sign up right away. My prices were still very low at that time because remember, my aim was just to cover my yearly fees. So I brought a lot of my YouTube content over from the paid channel, put that on Teachable, and then continued to add content from there. Now at this stage, I think I'd upgraded to my son's DSLR camera that we had bought for him as a present. And so he let me use that, and it had a microphone on top. So the sound was a little bit better. Still didn't have lighting, still had kids playing and yelling and screaming in a lot of the videos. Thankfully, a lot of my students said they thought that was great because it was just so lovely to hear the kids having fun. That's one way of looking at it. And I didn't have any lighting, so it was always done with natural lighting during the day, and always borrowing my son's camera. So the videos were a fairly decent quality. The DSLR was definitely an upgrade because you're using nice lenses and you can really get very clear images, you can zoom right in, you can do all these things. And I also had a tripod that I could sit the camera on. And so I just kept making content. Initially, I think I was making just whatever videos I wanted to or what I felt would be most helpful. And as I mentioned before, over time, I've really learned the value of asking people who are already engaged with me and what I do, asking them what they want and what they want to see. And that has really been one of the most important things for making classes that are relevant for everyone. You might be wondering, did I cover the Teachable fees for that first year? Not only did I cover the fees, I also made a profit. So things took off fairly quickly. Now at the 5-year point, there are almost 10,000 registered users on Teachable, which is amazing. There are nearly 1,500 paid members, so people who have memberships. The last financial year has been my biggest year to date in business, which is just wonderful. A lot of people ask me, are you running out of ideas? What are you going to do in the future? I'm going to be talking about that a little bit later in the video, but I never do run out of ideas. And if I'm not sure of an idea, I mention it to my audience or they mention things to me. The thing is, I get so many messages and emails and things from students, feedback from students, and that really tells me what direction I need to go with the next class or with the next pattern that I'm making for Etsy or the next e-booklet that I'm doing, whatever it is. All I really need to do is listen to what people want and then do my best to accommodate. Now, I said that we're going to have a giveaway, so I want to talk about that now. I absolutely love having giveaways. They're so much fun. I'm going to tell you first what the giveaways are, what the prizes are, and then I'll tell you how to enter. I've been very lucky to be able to collaborate with Nikki from Thread Collective. If you don't know about Thread Collective, they are a Queensland-based business and they sell all manner of weaving supplies, books, looms, yarns. There's needlecraft stuff, there's knitting stuff, there's spinning stuff, and this is an online store. I'm actually really proud of how far Nikki has come over the past few years since she started this business. I see her as a bit of an innovator, and you'll see what I mean if you hop over to her website and see what she has on offer there. So Nikki has very kindly offered one of my lucky followers $100 to spend on some Aida fibres. You can choose from the Aida cotton lace yarn or the Aida cotton sock yarn. These are Australian made yarns. They come in really beautiful vivid colours. Now, as I said, you can get the lace weight or you can get the sock weight. The winner is going to be allowed to choose. That's one of the prizes. The next one is a $100 gift voucher for the Thread Collective. The winner can spend their voucher on whatever they like, or they can use their voucher as a portion of, putting it towards a larger priced item. The choice is up to you. Okay, the third prize. Yes, there's a third prize. This is a really fun one. For anyone who purchases a membership of any type to the online weaving school this month, in the month of May, so that means if you've already purchased this month, you are in the running to win this prize. You will receive a full refund on your membership. Whether you purchase a monthly, 6 monthly, basic or premium membership, you can go in the running to win a full refund on your membership, and a membership purchased is an automatic entry into this. Also, if you purchase a membership this month and you're automatically entered, you can still enter the giveaway for one of the other prizes as well. Now, the full details for this giveaway for all 3 prizes is going to be on my blog. This is the easiest and best way to host a giveaway I've found, and the least complicated. So I'm going to have the link to that down below. I'm also going to have the links to anything that I've mentioned today that you might want to investigate further. Just have a look down below. If you can't see, click on Show More, and you should get a drop-down menu with all of the texts and the links that I've put there for you. Good luck to all of you who enter the giveaway. I'll be announcing all of the winners at the end of this month. I do want to say a thank you to Liz, who is one of my wonderful members. It was her idea that I actually do this video and to talk about the beginnings of the weaving school and my future plans for it. So thank you, Liz. Now I'm going to go on to talk about the future plans. Well, as I said, I'm not running out of ideas anytime soon. In fact, I have the opposite problem in that I have a long, ever-growing list of class ideas, of pattern ideas, and of ebook ideas. Because yes, I do have several ebooks now as well. I found that I actually quite enjoy writing, which is a bit of a revelation to me. Or maybe it's just that I enjoy writing about weaving. I think that's probably it. So for the future, I've already shared a list, a kind of tentative list of future classes in my members group so that they know what's coming. But a couple of them I will share here with you. So one of my heart's desires is to weave more in order to make clothing for myself and for my family, if anybody wants that, which I'm sure they would if I did a good enough job of it. So I have in the past woven a top, a kind of a flowy tunic. You can see that on the screen here, and I'll also link to that down below. That was related to a month that I was running that I called Clothtober, and I ran it in October. And it was about making, weaving from scratch, something for yourself. So for that particular tunic, I wove the fabric from beautiful Australian cotton. That was from Full Circle Fibres, which is also available at the Thread Collective. It was a 10-2 cotton, so it was lovely and fine, and just the result was just so soft. And then I dyed it this beautiful indigo blue, and then I adapted a pattern that I saw on the blog Always Autumn. She had a lovely tunic pattern there, and I adapted it for my own size and my own needs. And my husband says, whenever I wear it, he says it's his favorite item of clothing on me. So that's really lovely. I've also woven a crossover apron as part of the Japanese Journey Masterclass. That came out really well. I wove that with the same cotton. But apart from that, I've done, well, of course I've done a lot of scarves, but I haven't done, a lot of fitted wearable clothes. Now, something that I wear every single day of my life is a skirt. I am a skirt wearer. I don't do pants. I just don't do pants. They don't suit me. I don't feel comfortable in them. They don't fit my body shape ever, which has been a huge frustration for me ever since I was a teenager. And so I wear leggings as for warmth underneath my skirts, but I'm 100% a skirt wearer. So it makes sense that I would want to make myself a skirt, right? So what I'm trying to do at the moment is learn a little bit more about pattern drafting. I have learned a bit over the years, and when I first came back to sewing after a very long hiatus, I mean, basically I just did a bit of sewing at school. I was never really into it. But when I decided I wanted to get a bit more serious about sewing and develop some skills and learn to use a machine properly and all of that, I had a few classes with a Singaporean lady, and she had trained very classically as a tailor in Singapore, and she was a great help to get me started. She would lay out pieces of newspaper and draw up patterns on that and help me to draw up a pattern for a skirt or whatever it was from there, and that was really great. But I didn't really know a lot of the why of what she was doing. I could see she was taking this measurement here and halving that measurement there. But as a newer sewer, I'm thinking, but why do you halve that measurement there? I didn't have that understanding. I still don't necessarily have a great understanding of pattern making. And as a frustrated shopper for clothing, because it's so hard to get clothing that fits properly and fits well and looks good on me, this is a skill that I would really love to develop. I've even looked over the years at doing a course at a community college or whatever for pattern making, but there has never been anything available that I could go to. And so I'm just kind of doing my own research. I've read quite a few books on it, but still it really seems quite technical. And it may not be as technical as I think it is, but I know that there are some gaps in my knowledge that I really need to overcome. Another bonus recently is, you may remember that in the middle of my studio, much to my own disappointment when I moved into my studio, was that there is a really large pool table. Now recently, my husband and I put these covers on top of the pool table. I left it uncovered for a long time because I wanted people to be able to come into the studio and play when they want to. But to be honest, it has barely been used since we moved in, and it's really only played on sometimes, occasionally, if we have some guests or something like that and people want to play. And so rather than looking at it and feeling annoyed every time I came into my studio because it's taking up valuable space, we put the covers on top, and this is like an instant transformation. Because the covers, which the previous owners already had, they fit together really well, they're really flat, and they have made an awesome cutting surface. Now this is something that I haven't really had in the studio. I've got this table here, and this table is a good size, but I always have stuff on it. I've got my table loom on there. I often have my laptop on here. I've got wool and bits and pieces. It's kind of really a utility table for whatever I'm doing at the time. It's a working space. But having this space of the pool table with the covers on top now means I have a dedicated space for laying out lengths of fabric and cutting out pattern pieces and all of that kind of thing that I haven't had before. Now, an added bonus is the height. It's quite a bit higher than a regular table. And for me, the queen of sore back, means that I don't have to bend at all. It's just such a good height for my back. So I'm quite excited about being able to just have that space there where I haven't had it before. One day I'm really seriously going to consider having the pool table taken out, but that is a very complicated thing because it's got to have, it won't fit out the door and it's extremely heavy. So it would entail taking windows, large windows out of the studio and maybe getting some machinery to move that out. And then I'm not really sure where we would put it because it is a really nice, good pool table. I wanted to have it protected and everything. But really my dream is to have a larger loom in this studio. And to accommodate a larger loom, I would really need that pool table to go. Anyway, that's a future thing. We'll see about that. For now, I'm really glad it's been transformed into a cutting space for me. Okay, so back to the skirt. My idea for a class would be to teach people how to draft a skirt to your own body size, because let's face it, there are very few of us that have a uniform body size. And say for me, one of my biggest frustrations in fitting is that I have a relatively small waist but really big hips. And so if I buy a skirt off the rack, unless it's got like an elasticated waist or something like the one I'm wearing right now, it's just not going to fit me properly. So I want to be able to weave fabric to make a really lovely fitted skirt with a waistband, with a zip, you know, a really classic looking skirt, and for each student to be able to do the same to their own measurements so that they have a skirt that fits them beautifully, that they're really happy with. You're going to spend a fair bit of time weaving fabric for your clothing, so you want to make things really fit nicely. So you want to end up with a garment that you really do enjoy wearing. And that's my aim. I'm huge on comfort. I just will not wear anything that's not comfortable. I'm almost ridiculous about it, but making your own clothes from scratch is the perfect way to get around so many of those issues. And I think that would be a really good and fun achievement for a lot of students. So that's one idea for future class. Another one is I have done natural dyeing in the past. I haven't done any for a little while, but I would really like to do some more, something that I really enjoy. So I'd like to do a natural dyeing class at some point. And then this is a sample that I worked on recently. And if you follow me on social media, you've probably seen this already, but I don't think I've done the reveal for it. I think I just showed on the loom. So I wove this on my floor loom. It's a 4-shaft pattern and it's all wool. I haven't taken off any of my tails or anything, so it's a bit scrappy. The thing with this piece is, let me fold it properly. On the loom, it was this size. Okay, so it was half of the actual fabric, and this is the size that it came out. It's just a sample because I really wanted to practice this particular pattern as a double width weave. If you follow me for rigid heddle classes, you'll know that I have done a double width, well, a couple of double width rigid heddle loom classes, but I haven't done anything for floor or table loom weavers. And again, it's something that students have been asking me for some time. And so at some stage, I would like to do a pattern similar to this and do it double width on a floor or table loom. Well, I would do it on my floor loom because my table loom really isn't very wide, even for double width. So I would do it on my floor loom. I'd do a class for that. I don't think that double width weaving is very difficult on a floor loom, but I think there are, when you get into doing 4 shafts instead of just 2 shafts for plain weave, then there are a lot of things that you could know that would make it easier. So I think a lot of people would benefit from a step-by-step video on how to do that. So that's another future class, possibly. If you like the sound of any of these classes, you can let me know in the comments, and then that's further feedback for what I should be doing. You can also let me know if there are any other classes that I haven't done that you would like to see at the weaving school. My most recent class, the Herringbone on a rigid heddle loom class, was a very much requested class and it has done very well. I know a lot of you are enrolled in that class and it's been a real success. As for any more future plans, well, as I said, my class list is very long and I don't plan on going anywhere. Each year I like to think that the weaving school gets a little better. I like to provide a lot of value for money, so I don't overprice my classes or my memberships. I try to keep the pricing as fair as possible. And I plan to continue listening to what my students' needs are and helping you all to become the weavers you want to be. That's really what it's all about. Okay folks, don't forget all the links will be down below. So if you want to enter the giveaway, the links will be there. You can't enter it here, it will be over on my blog. Thank you for listening today. Thank you for all of your support over the years. And even if you have only recently found my channel or my weaving school, I thank you and appreciate you so much. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you very soon in another video. Until next time, happy weaving.